Thank you, Governor Haber. It is now my great honor to introduce our commencement speaker, Missouri State Senator from District 15, Eric Schmitt. Now, after I get done introducing him, I'm going to have to adjust the mic upward, all right? He's a little taller. Senator Schmitt, who has been born and raised in St. Louis County and graduated from Jesuit High School, is a 1997 cum laude graduate of Truman. He was a two-sport athlete, participating in both baseball and football, and while at Truman, founded a Habitat for Humanity chapter on campus. After graduating, Senator Schmitt earned a scholarship for law school at St. Louis University, where he earned his Juris Doctorate. In addition to his legislative duties, Senator Schmitt is also a partner in the law firm of Lathrop & Gage. Senator Schmitt was elected to the Missouri Senate in 2008 and was re-elected to his second term this past November. He serves in Senate leadership as Majority Caucus Secretary and is chairman of the Jobs, Economic Development, and Local Government Committee. Senator Schmitt has a long history of public service, including involvement with the Tuberous Sclerosis Alliance and the Gateway chapter of the Autism Society. He and his wife, Jamie, also a 1997 Truman graduate, reside in St. Louis County along with their 3 children. It has been my great pleasure to work with Senator Schmitt throughout my tenure at Truman. In all instances, he has served as an outstanding representative of his alma mater and a true ambassador for the liberal arts and sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming back to campus Senator Eric Schmitt.
Thank you, President Pano, for that warm introduction and for all that you do for this great university. I'd like to acknowledge the Board of Governors, the professors and the staff here at Truman, and congratulate the parents, the grandparents, and the graduates of 2012. You know, when President Pano called me a couple months ago to give the speech here, I was honored and pretty excited. Even my wife, Jamie, was impressed, and after 13 years of marriage, I can tell you that she's not easily impressed by me anymore, and she doesn't think my jokes are very funny either. But I told her, you know, can you believe we're going back? 15 years later, we're heading back to the place where we first met, we got our degrees, we made lifelong friendships, we came back a couple years later and actually got engaged on campus. Can you believe, 15 years later, did you ever imagine we'd be back here? In your wildest dreams, did you ever imagine we'd be back here and I'd be giving this speech? And she said, Eric, I got news for you. You've never been in my wildest dreams. So, there you have it. And Jamie is here somewhere, and she's an unbelievable wife, a fantastic mother to our 3 kids, and a wonderful human being, and I'm very blessed that Truman gave her to me. It's an honor to be back here. When I graduated in the spring of 1997, we were the first graduating class with Truman State on our diplomas. And if the Mayans are right, you'll be the last. So get the diplomas framed before next Friday. A lot's changed since 1997. Back then, Dobson Hall was an all-guy dorm, Ryle Hall was an all-female dorm, and there was no student rec center. That's all changed, of course, but some things haven't changed. Pally Eyes, Pancake City, 20-year-old couches on front porches, and substandard pre-industrial revolution era off-campus housing. 1997 was a largely unremarkable year, so I won't bore you with what happened or what I was doing, but what may be more relevant to this speech is what I wasn't doing. I didn't wake up and check my cell phone for text messages because we didn't have cell phones. I didn't check Facebook before I went to class because there was no Facebook. I didn't tweet how boring Math 10 was, although I probably would have, because there was no Twitter. I didn't do research on the web because we were still using microfiche. You all have Reddit, Facebook, Amazon, Instagram, iPhones, and iPads. In 1997, I had flannel shirts, Pearl Jam, notebooks, dot matrix printers, and AOL. And that's only 15 years ago. The pace of advances in technology, science, and medicine are astounding. For example, the Human Genome Project, which wasn't completed until 2003, took 13 years and $2.7 billion to complete. I just returned from Israel last week, which was an incredible experience. A professor at the Technion the MIT of Israel, like Truman is the Harvard of the Midwest, believes he's on the verge of having a machine that can map someone's DNA in 1 hour for $100. So the question is, where will we be 15 years from now? Where will you fit in? Where will I fit in? These questions are exciting and very scary at the exact same time, but they also provide opportunities for us individually and for our world. We live in a unique place in that world. The more I travel, the more I appreciate this fact. We live in a place where you have choices, and if you work hard enough, you can achieve. Not everybody has that in this world. Things are tougher now than they have been in a very long time for people sitting in your chairs, looking for jobs, or dare I say a career. Yet we still live in an incredible place, a place where we trust each other to choose our path together and not to submit to a succession of kings or a bloodline. When this bold and incredible experiment began 230 some odd years ago, that was unique to the world. And it's our legacy as a people. We are a country founded on the belief that the individual mattered and that your path in life wasn't predetermined by whether or not your father owned land. Each generation must resolve to meet those challenges of their own time. And right now there are many, and they are great. The good news for you is you're graduating from an institution of higher learning that has prepared you to meet those challenges. You were taught by actual professors in smaller classrooms, developing critical thinking skills and stoking intellectual curiosity. You have been trained not necessarily to know all the answers or to know all of the solutions, but the skills to find those answers and to seek those solutions. Truman is a unique place in our state. It's a school populated with overachievers, highly motivated students from across the socioeconomic spectrum, smart people with that one thing you can't teach. Some call it grit, some call it resolve, some call it fight, some call it determination. Whatever you want to call it, the graduates from this place are ready to compete with any graduates anywhere. So be proud of this accomplishment. After all, today is a great day, a celebration. Enjoy it. Really enjoy it. Take some time to actually reflect on these 4 years, or maybe it's 4.5 or 5 or 6, before you start thinking about the next thing, your next act. It's a rare thing in life to actually recognize those important moments as they're happening. This is one of them. And enjoy the people you're sharing it with here today, especially your family. They've invested a lot in you getting here today, and they'll be with you a long time after the music stops playing. You're graduating on December 15th, 2012. I don't know when the next major date in your life will be. Maybe it's when you get your job, or when you get married, or when you have your first child. But ultimately, we have 2 dates on our tombstones: the day we're born and the day that we die. But you live your life in the spaces in between those dates. That's the guts of it. The ups and the downs, the struggles, the failures, the successes. That's what life is all about. What you do, who you spend your time with, what you're involved with, and who you help. I work in the Missouri Senate in our beautiful Capitol building, and it's a humbling experience to be one of 34 people to have a say on important issues of the day affecting 6 million people who live in our state. But sometimes, late at night, when the school groups are gone, and the lobbyists are gone, and the speeches are over, and the votes have been taken, it's quiet. And I walk around those halls, and I look at some of the composites of legislatures gone by. 40 years ago, 80 years ago, 100 years ago. Rarely are their names recognized, maybe a governor or a U.S. senator. Yet, although their names aren't recognized, their efforts are remembered in some way. Achievements, big or small, are added to the canon of our civil society, our laws. Some of these achievements were long overdue. Some are still waiting to happen. Some causes are still waiting to be adopted. So it's not about the names on the wall, but what they stood for and what they spent their time doing. The same is true for millions of people who've helped worthy causes over the years, who've built early childhood centers, or helped individuals with special needs, or the people who every day, through ordinary acts of kindness, change the world a little bit each day, or like the people yesterday in Connecticut, who did what they could do to help in tragedy's wake. The firefighters, the police, the first responders, the teachers, those who prayed, those who consoled, the peacemakers. Their names won't necessarily be remembered next to presidents or titans of industry 100 years from now, but their service, their contributions, and their compassion, along with those who lost their lives, will be remembered by those families who are grief-stricken and by our nation. I pose this question to you. Do you know the names of the people who found some of our more successful charities? Unlikely. Autism Speaks was started by two grandparents who thought something needed to change. Millions of dollars later, and thousands of lives changed later, the world is a better place because they wanted to change it. So find something. Believe in something. Don't be a cynic. Run for office. Just don't run against me. Serve on a community board. Volunteer at a soup kitchen during Thanksgiving. Organize a work day on some Saturday morning to help somebody you've never met build a house with Habitat for Humanity. Find a charity you believe in. Find a cause to fight for. Raise $5,000 for a cause you support. Help someone that needs help. If we all do that, no matter how busy we are or how booked our calendars are, the world will be an entirely different place. You have that opportunity. Your whole life is in front of you. And your life is more than your paycheck or your occupation or your title. There's this idea of service, of volunteerism, of working for something larger than ourselves, helping one another, making the world a better place. And it's not tied to being a Republican or being a Democrat or being conservative or being liberal or being rich or being poor or anywhere in between. It's the fabric that binds us all together. We have something to give, all of us, something to contribute. It's ourselves. Anne Frank, who had every right to be cynical or to be angry, wrote, "How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world." I'm under no illusion that you will remember what I say here today 10 years from now, or even 1 year from now, for that matter. So if you remember one thing from this speech, it is this. You all have, every single one of you have, the most precious of commodities, time. Use it wisely. The world needs you. Thank you, and God bless you.